Hello and welcome back to another Osoroshi Saturday, the show that brings you the darkest, deepest, and scariest side of Asia and all around the world. We start today with our very first story, which concerns another true disappearance. It's a sad tale of a little girl who went missing in a pachinko parlor. Listen close and see if you can help. The disappearance of Yukari Yokoyama, a little girl abducted from a pachinko parlor. Pachinko is a pinball-like arcade game that's been popular in Japan since the early 1950s. Like pinball, you try to shoot little balls into one of the holes in the machine. You win every ball that lands in a hole, and you can exchange these balls for prizes. Because of Japan's gambling laws, you can't directly exchange the balls for money, but there are plenty of places where you can trade or sell your prizes as a workaround. Since casinos are prohibited in Japan, pachinko parlors have essentially taken their places. Millions of Japanese play this game every year. With pachinko so popular among Japanese adults, it was once a common sight for a long time to see parents bring their kids with them to these parlors. Things are different nowadays, but I've heard that people only stopped doing this back in the 1990s, after dozens of incidents where neglected children died while their parents were away in pachinko parlors. One of the more infamous cases was from the time of Yukari Yokoyama's missing persons incident of 1996. Yukari was a 4-year-old girl whose parents, Yasuo and Mitsuko, took her and her baby sister to a pachinko parlor on July 7, 1996, in Gunma Prefecture, Ota City. While the Yokoyamas split up, with Mitsuko taking her baby daughter and Yasuo going off to play at the machines in a different row, Yukari was left free to roam around and play inside the parlor. Around noontime, Mitsuko brought some lunch and took the kids outside to the car to eat. Yukari wasn't very hungry during that time, but decided that she wanted to eat some more after her mother started to play pachinko again. Mitsuko then sent her daughter off with a snack to eat on a nearby couch, where she could keep an eye on her. Sometime after 1:40 p.m., Yukari came back to her mother and said something about an quote-unquote uncle. Mitsuko couldn't hear very well over the sound of the pachinko parlors, machines, and many blaring noises, and Yukari went back over to the couch unheard. 10 minutes later, Mitsuko looked up from her game and noticed Yukari wasn't sitting on the couch anymore. When she got up to check where Yukari was sitting, she found the girl's juice in half-eaten onigiri. That's a rice ball or a triangular-shaped clump of rice, usually with some sort of treat in the middle. Mitsuko then told her husband that Yukari was gone. After searching the parlor's parking lot, the Yokoyamas reported Yukari missing to a nearby police station around 2:10 p.m. While the police searched the area over the next 2 days, interviewing customers and other people who were in the parlor that day, one witness reported seeing a little girl around Yukari's age getting into a white car around the time of her disappearance. There were other people who remembered seeing Yukari in the parlor, but nobody paid any attention to her, and nobody could say whether they saw anybody in particular or suspicious either. A big breakthrough in the case came when the authorities reviewed footage from the parlor's security cameras. At 1:27 p.m., a man about 5 feet 2 inches, or 158 centimeters, came into the parlor and went into a bathroom located in the back of the building. The man, who most had seen with distinguishing features, had sunglasses, sandals, and a hat, came out 3 minutes later, and then began to wander around the parlor. At 1:33, while Yukari was sitting on the couch, the man came over and sat next to her. He smoked and talked to Yukari, pointing his fingers to the entrance a few times until finally he got up and left around 1:42. Yukari then went over to her mother and mentioned something about uncle. After her mother paid no attention, Yukari walked over to the entrance and left the building, after which the security cameras completely lost sight of her. Although the surveillance footage from the parlor was widely shown in the media and the shady man's image was included on flyers, Yukari's abductor has never been identified. Some believe the man might have been a prior customer or was at least familiar with the parlor's layout. I've also read that the man's sunglasses and hat were meant to work as a disguise, but that might have just been how the guy liked to dress. My little 2 cents is that the guy walked into the parlor, noticed Yukari sitting alone and neglected, and then made a decision right there to lure her outside. A lot of people have condemned Yukari's parents for how utterly careless they were, and I've heard a few offer a completely groundless theory that the kidnapping was a premeditated plan masterminded by the Yokoyamas themselves. As of February 2016, this case has remained completely cold. If Yukari Yokoyama is still alive today, she would be around 22 or 23. Perhaps even 2 decades later, somebody might someday identify the man in the parlor surveillance footage. If you'd like to take a look at some footage, check out this video that I've put here and see if there's anything you notice that's odd. Please let me know in the comments below. Alright guys, it's time for Know Your Yokai, the segment where we learn a little bit more about the Hyakumonogatari and Japan's very horrifying yokai. Our tale today is called Katabira no Suji, the crossroad of corpses. This has a lot of imagery to go along with it. I hope you enjoy it, but I also hope you understand the reason why I don't show my face over top of this. I think that the art should be paramount. At the beginning of the Heian era, during the reign of Emperor Saga, lived the Empress Consort Tachibana no Kachiko. A devout Buddhist and holy woman, Tachibana founded the great Buddhist temple complex and learning center of Danming-ji, and because of this, was known as the Empress Danming. All her life, the Empress wanted to use her position and education to forward and spread the teachings of Buddha. But she had one major problem. Tachibana no Kachiko was cursed with a beautiful face. So much so that whenever she tried to teach people of the Buddha and warn them of the impermanent nature of life, she found herself constantly assailed by love letters and obscene offers instead of interested students. Even when she went to the mountain retreats to practice ascetic disciplines amongst the holy brothers, those who should have been spiritually armored against the temptations of flesh, the unwanted attentions were never ceasing. This troubled Tachibana deeply. She knew that the beauty of her face and body were nothing, mere illusion that would fade and disappear. Yet with everyone so distracted by her transient beauty, how could they learn about the deeper truths of eternity? It was a question that would cloud her entire existence. You see, there's slightly more to the story. The devout Empress Tachibana no Kachiko's final act did not go unnoticed, and it started an entirely new kind of Buddhist painting known as the Kyuaizu, the Nine Signs. These paintings juxtapose the scenes of a person beautiful and alive with the 9 stages of their corpse as it decomposes. These pictures were extremely realistic and obviously drawn from studies of actual corpses decomposing over time. Kyuaizu were generally painted of famous, beautiful women to show how their charms and wonders were nothing but rotting flesh and death. Only the soul mattered. The honored courtesan Ono no Komachi was a popular subject of Kyuaizu, which led to some mixing between her story and the story of Empress Tachibana. Next up, I'm bringing back a small but very fun little section of the Osoroshi show known simply as Bukimi Bites. Now, a lot of people always forget what Bukimi means, and it is actually another word for creepy. Bukimi Bites is bites or samples of small snippets of either games, videos, or movies that I find to be interesting and very scary on the internet. Hopefully, I've found a couple that you've never seen before. I think I might have with this little collection. Take a look for yourself and let me know if these are a good enough scare for you. The first clip is simply known as 2 Horses, and it starts out with a man walking into a horse stable, and well, let's just say it gets completely horrifying from there. Watch and tell me what you think.
Who are you? What are you doing here, and where are my horses?
Our next video is a very old celluloid archival video found in a Russian warehouse. Sadly, this video has no sound at all, but has been layered with a very creepy type of music. On top of it, all it appears to be is a simple study on conjoined twins, also known as Siamese twins. All they do is very, very basic maneuvers and movements, but with the addition of music and the video included, it becomes very creepy. The following video I saw under multiple titles, but the one I'm going to go with is Incomplete Frankenstein, and I think you'll see why. not consider the next video on our list to be the highest level of scares, and I have taken out the audio in order to delete simple whispers and a lot of mumbling that goes on in this video, as there is no audio contained that is able to be recognized. Nonetheless, I have left in every aspect of the visuals, which tend to be very, very creepy images. And our last video on the list also deals with anthropomorphic animals. That's pretty much all I'm gonna say. Just watch.
The environmental impact caused from printing bills on paper is unnecessary and often unpredictable.
Well, guys, I hope we filled your hunger for fear here on this episode of Osoroshi Saturday. Until next time, I'm unrested with the scary stories you requested. This is Osoroshi Saturday.